Oh, I came to El Salvador a very long time ago in 1977. Since I was the UNHCR protection officer, I had the responsibility of protecting the safety of the 6,000 refugees who were in the camps at that time. Working with the refugees from 1981 to 1983 was the most meaningful experience I've had in my life because they just opened their hearts to me, and I learned the value of commitment with people who kept their dreams of returning to their homeland, and that faith and commitment was just unbelievable. I came on the delegation as a board member, and we went to the Baja Lempa and also to Ciudad Segunda Montes, and it was truly a transformative experience. People I saw that I hadn't seen in 33 years, yet they remembered me and came up to me and hugged me, and it was like I was back in the camps. And so my journey brought me back to reunite with them, and this delegation made that all possible for me to see people I'd worked with again and to realize that my life is about connecting with people, sharing, giving, and it's all about love. And that's what this delegation has meant for me, just opening my heart again and welcoming them back into this part of my life.
I drove from Colorado to Nicaragua in 1986, delivered a truck with a friend of mine who was working there as a midwife, and I spent some time traveling around Nicaragua and then came to El Salvador and met with people here and got to know a little bit about what was going on. In that trip I interviewed people at the Non-Governmental Human Rights Commission and then the Governmental Human Rights Commission. And it was an interesting contrast. In the Non-Governmental Human Rights Commission, they had pictures on the walls of all the people who, hundreds of people who had been disappeared, and lots of documentation of human rights abuses. At the end of 1990, a group of us in Colorado decided to bring material aid from Colorado to El Salvador to Ciudad Segunda Montes, which was a community of people who had shortly before then repatriated from the refugee camps in Honduras. And we met voices in that process because they helped us get our stuff into the country. And in that trip, after that, making that delivery essentially, I stayed in the country and worked in northern Morazan as the anesthetist for a mobile hospital, and then basically stayed working in various health projects until August of 1994. We went back to the United States. A few years later, I reconnected with Voices and came on a delegation, and then joined the board a few years after that, and I've been coming yearly ever since then. Pretty much every year since I joined the board.
It's inspiring to meet with so many people of different groups, like the faith-based communities, the youth groups, the women's groups, and to see what they're doing. It's particularly meaningful for me because a lot of the members of the youth groups were born in the refugee camps. And I was so touched and moved to see that the children of the refugees who suffered so much in Honduras are now the leaders, and they have so much faith and hope. And they also have the skills as leaders and organizers for the future. So meeting with people, hearing their stories, hearing their hopes and dreams, and being a part of that is really what a delegation is about.
I was impressed meeting with people in the community boards at their efforts to keep their kids in school. despite not having transportation for the kids to get to school, despite the situation of violence in the communities that is particularly targeted towards the youth. And so that's why Voices has made efforts to try and help with that, arranging for transportation for the kids to get to school. Voices has actually made an effort to pay the salary of a teacher who the health ministry doesn't want to place in one of the communities, La Tirana, so that the kids would be able to go to 7th, 8th, and 9th grade there. They're going to have to travel really far without our support to be able to have instruction in their own.
In the 80s, solidarity meant that I was working with them and protecting them and supporting them in their struggle for justice in a very concrete way by being and working in the camps. At this time in my life, it means supporting organizations that help them achieve social justice and human rights. So I can give money, I can go on a delegation. I may not be able to live with them for the months that they would like me to live with them, but at least I can give in other ways. I can be an advocate, write letters, work for Amnesty International. It's a choice on how you live your life so that others can have what you have. So it's living simply, and it's always standing up and speaking out for those in need, people who don't have what I have, and just like Monsignor Romero said, to be the voice for those who have no voice.
It's an eye-opener. You live a privileged life in an industrialized country where many things are easy, and you see the situation of people who are faced with a much higher degree of adversity, have been throughout their whole lifetime, went through a period of struggle with a civil war, and have been trying to deal with the effects of neoliberalism on the whole of society and their individual lives, and they realize that it's just an eye-opening experience, and it informs one politically and philosophically, and then you hopefully get connected and lend a hand and try and help out.